We're starting this morning's session off with a talk by Chenzhou Cui. He's talking on teaching resources for virtual observatories. Chenzhou, over to you.
So I can start my talk?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Good morning and a good day, everyone. I'm Chenzhou from Chinese Virtual Observatory, the National Astronomical Observatory of China. And today, I'm very happy to give an overview talk about teaching resources of the Virtual Observatory. In my talk, first I will give a very brief introduction about the Virtual Observatory and the IVOA. And then I will give much time for the resources for Virtual Observatory, including different abstracts. For example, the IVOA websites, Wiki pages, curriculums, and tutorials. The third part of my talk is about resources for Astroinformatics. I will also give a very brief introduction about the resources about Astroinformatics. And then I will conclude my talk using a special epilogue. First, this is, and all of us know, astronomy is a data-driven science now. About 20 years ago, the astronomy has stepped into the TB area, driven by several astronomical projects. Here, I listed several examples, including the 2DF, the SDSS, LAMOST, and Gala. Now, the astronomy is stepping from TB to EB area, driven larger and ambitious astronomical projects. For example, the 500-meter radio telescope in China and the future fast array, the coming SKA, the Very Rubin Observatory, SST Sky Survey, the Euclid from the European community. Astronomy has been driven an engine for big data in science. And astronomy is entering an area of big data where the data sets are too large to download and analyze using users' own facility. So to satisfy the challenges facing the astronomical research, about 20 years ago, the idea of Virtual Observatory was initiated. Here is a vision of the VO. The web is transparent, and the goal of the Virtual Observatory is to achieve the same feeling for astronomical data. And astronomical data sets, tools, and services should work seamlessly together. The VO will allow astronomers to interrogate multiple data centers in a seamless and transparent way. Like the worldwide telescope, the VO is not a fixed system, but rather a way of doing things. Here, I give a brief definition for the Virtual Observatory. It is a data-intensively online astronomical research and education environment, taking advantages of the advanced information technologies to achieve seamless global access to astronomical information. In 2002, the International Virtual Observatory Alliance was created as an organization that debates and agrees the technical standards that are needed to make the VO possible. It is a focal point for VO aspirations and a framework for discussing and sharing VO ideas and technology. The Alliance currently has 22 member VO projects and has 6 working groups, 8 interest groups. Each year, the IVOA will organize 2 interoperability meetings. The first one in May, and the second one will be in October or November, usually together with ADAS. Next week, the IVOA interoperability meeting will be held online. Currently, about 26 interoperability standards or protocols have been defined by the working groups and interest groups of the IVOA. Talking about teaching resources of the Virtual Observatory, the IVOA website and Wiki pages should be the first entrance. Here, I give the address of the IVOA website. Here, you can see we provided contents for astronomers, developers, members. From the website, you can get different kinds of information about VO and the scientific requirements, the latest progresses. Especially since 2000 and to the latest current 2021, you can find all the slides, programs, and related events materials about the IVOA. They provided a very comprehensive history and achievements by IVOA and its VO projects. Additionally, at the IVOA wiki pages, you can find information about IVOA interest groups, working groups, and other materials. So the IVOA website and the wiki pages is the first entrance point for you to learn virtual observatory. At the IVOA, we established a dedicated interest group for education, the IVOA Education Interest Group. Here is a URL for the interest group. You can get the background information about this group. In 2018, the interest group released a working note entitled Education Resources in the Virtual Observatory. These documents try to provide a registry-based solution for viable VO education resources. It is a very good solution. However, it is a little difficult for general teachers and VO educators. So this year, we created a EuroVO pages existing IVOA education resources and tutorials. All the related information and the new comms information will added or linked from this wiki page. So your contributions are very welcome. Just send a URL and a brief introduction about your education tutorials or resources. In 2007, the first book about a virtual observatory was published by ASP. It is a achievement from the NVO, the National Virtual Observatory. in 2004, 2005, and 2006. The USVO development of product presented some schools in Aspen, Colorado. And this volume is a collection of the some school lectures and tutorials. And these materials are still relevant. In this book, it includes 59 chapters and 3 appendixes, covered almost all the aspects of the virtual observatory and related topics. So it is a very valuable reference for VO education and developers. The Chinese version of this book was published 2 years later in 2010. As another creator of the IVOA, EuroVO is also an active member to provide education and scientific tutorials for the community. Here is a web page and a URL for the EuroVO scientific tutorials. This is the latest tutorials, and at the same time, you can also find the previous tutorials and the interactive Jupyter notebooks here. For education resources, the EuroVO project provided the EuroVO for education. It is a project by the EuroVO with the aim of diffusing EuroVO data and software to the public, in particularly students, teachers, and astronomy enthusiasts. The EuroVO resources are now maintained and upgraded by the Italian VO. Yeah, you can see here a list of the education samples. First, these samples will guide you scientific requirements, and then there will be a step-by-step guide to the commands needed to reach the solution of the problem. And they also provided in several different languages for the samples. Here is an example from the Columbia Darien. He used cases for updating the tutorial provided by EuroVO education, calculating the redshift of galaxies. And this updated version will also be found online at the EuroVO education project. CDS provided the cornerstones for the astronomical research and the virtual observatory using its 3 services, the Simbad, Vizra, and Aladdin. From the CDS website, the CDS also provided the detailed tutorials for Simbad, Vizra, and Aladdin. And you can also see, you can also find some other materials for developers. Spanish VO is also very active for education and scientific teaching. From the website of the Spanish VO, we can get teaching astronomy with VO materials for undergraduate and graduate projects and SVO schools and meetings. Here you can see the links for the tutorials, education thesis, and the SVO meetings. Later of today, Francisco and James Esteban will give a talk, especially for the European Virtual Observatory schools. So you are welcome to attend his talk. German Astronomical Virtual Observatory also provided very helpful tutorials for VO educations, including the ADQL reference card, the ADQL hands-on course, and the Gala tutorials. Here you can find the link. I will share my slides at the IDAS website, so you can get all these URLs. Armenian VO is also another active member for VO education and teaching. Here is an example. They organized two very successful meetings, summer schools last year. Here is this one is the International Summer School for Young Astronomers with the title of Astronomy and Data Science. Another meeting is Astronomical Surveys and Big Data. Here is a screen capture of the meeting and summer school. You can find the slides and the lectures. This is a URL for these two events. Additionally to these English materials, since there are many other non-English speaking VO projects, here I share some with you. The first one is from the Japanese VO. Since 2006, the JVO organized several unusual schools for VO for students and graduates. Here is the link, and each time they also provided the slides and the PDF for their materials. It is useful for Japanese, or if you can learn Japanese, it is very helpful for you. For the Chinese Virtual Observatory, we start the annual meeting since 2001. During the last 20 years, we collected a lot of slides and teaching materials. Here is the programs for the last 3 annual meetings. These slides and tutorials provided a very comprehensive history and achievements for the Chinese Virtual Observatory. And this year, we will have the annual meeting in early December. Additionally to the annual meeting of the China VO, we also provided a public channel for our users, especially including the Worldwide Telescope, the Community Beijing, and the PSP Citizen Science Project, the IAU Depot Working Group, ESA Sky, and a number of other useful services and tools for public for the teaching and education. Next, here are some brief resources for Astroinformatics. Astroinformatics is a closed community with the Virtual Observatory. So these resources are also helpful and useful for VO teachers and educators. First, there are 2 portals very useful for Astroinformatics. The first one is a portal from International Astroinformatics Association. They provided useful links and resources, including general data science and astroinformatics, software resources, learning resources, and lectures, funding opportunities. Another one is the Astrostatistics and the Astroinformatics portal. In their portal, they provided a comprehensive online courses for Astroinformatics.